what the heck? What? Oh my gosh, guys, this is crazy. Like, I never thought I'd say I won a Grammy at 22 years old.
Miss Tyla girl thought she was bigger than the program, and her EP flopped. It flopped by a long shot. She sold less than 4K units in the United States. I don't know what she did in South Africa, but it flopped over here.
She had the world eating out of her hand. Viral hit, glossy magazine covers, Grammy buzz, the whole package. In 2023, South African singer Tyla wasn't just breaking through. She was being crowned as the next global pop princess. Her single Water didn't just make noise, it drowned the charts completely. But here's the twist. That tidal wave she was riding didn't last forever. Somewhere between endless performances and those painfully awkward interviews, the vibe started shifting fast. Tyla's story shows exactly what happens when raw authenticity collides with global misunderstanding.
We all know why Tyla's EP flopped. She came to America trying to brand herself as the next Beyonce, the next Rihanna, while in the same breath saying that she does not identify as a Black woman. And South African people ate us up, saying that we do not understand South African history where apartheid just ended in the 1990s. I feel like there's just a lack of respect, and a lot of these brands think that Black Americans are so stupid that someone can sit in our face and tell us like they don't identify with us, but yet we're supposed to give our money to them and support them. I feel like she's gonna try to have a rebrand soon, and her team's gonna like scramble to try to either rebrand her as like a pop star maybe and less of R&B, or try to come back and act like she's so racially like competent now and like she's ready to be embraced by Black culture. Either way it goes, like when she first came out, she gave me a bad taste, so I don't think that I could support her.
And when the same crowd that once screamed your name suddenly starts whispering about your downfall. People love you 1 second, but the moment the narrative slips, they start sharpening knives behind your back. According to Billboard, her breakout smash Water wasn't just big, it was global domination. The track hit #1 on the US Afrobeat Songs chart and even cracked the top 10 on the Billboard Global 200. That's insane for any new artist, but for someone coming straight out of South Africa, it was history in the making. And let's not forget, in the US alone, the record went triple platinum. That's not just a hit, that's a career-defining meteor strike. In her Billboard interview, Tyla admitted how surreal it all felt, and honestly, it looked like nothing could stop her at that point. She called the whole thing groundbreaking. A South African artist born and raised right there, dropping an African song with an African dance style, and the world actually vibed with it. Tyla spoke with pride about the authenticity, saying she was blown away that her sound could travel overseas without being watered down or compromised. That was the victory she wanted to highlight, proof that she could stay true and still shine globally. But here's the curveball she didn't see coming, her personality. The music crossed borders with ease, but her words, her commentary, and even her on-camera vibe, not so much, especially in the US where the spotlight is brutal and quick to turn. While Water was still flooding playlists everywhere, the artist herself started to confuse people. Interviews that should have cemented her star power began circulating online for the wrong reasons. People weren't talking about the music anymore, they were dissecting her. The flawless confidence she once projected started to slip, and little cracks in her image became headline material. Then came December 2023, and things went from tricky to explosive. Tyla landed herself in the middle of a major controversy. According to the BBC, an old TikTok of hers resurfaced and ignited a full-on culture war. In the clip, she rocked Bantu knots and a traditional beaded necklace while proudly flashing the words, "I am a colored South African." What was meant to be a bold declaration of her identity ended up sparking a firestorm she probably never imagined. It wasn't the hairstyle, the necklace, or even the vibe of the video that set things off. It was that single word, colored. Black Americans immediately recoiled because in the US, that word carries centuries of pain. But here's the thing, and in South Africa, colored isn't some random insult, it's an official racial classification, and for many people, it's a deeply rooted cultural identity. It's a complicated legacy born out of colonialism and apartheid, messy, painful, but still woven into how communities define themselves. According to both the BBC and Rolling Stone UK, Tyla has a mixed heritage: Zulu, Indian, Mauritian, and Irish. She wasn't dismissing her blackness at all. What she was really doing was speaking from her own South African experience, where colored means something very different than it does in the US. But here's where it all spiraled. That context didn't cross the ocean with her. For Black Americans, hearing Tyla proudly use colored hit like a gut punch. In the US, that word drips with Jim Crow trauma. It instantly calls back whites-only signs, segregated schools, and drinking fountains that carry decades of humiliation. And psychologists have long shown how certain words can reactivate deep generational wounds. So while Tyla thought she was embracing nuance, a cultural identity she grew up with, American audiences heard a racial slur screaming through their speakers. The backlash was immediate. Social media didn't just call her out, they dragged her by those Bantu knots, turning what she thought was a proud cultural statement into a global scandal. People came at her hard, accusing Tyla of cashing in on Black culture while low-key trying to distance herself from it. Her braids loved, her beats streamed worldwide. But the moment she wouldn't just flat out say, "I'm Black," suspicion started creeping in fast. Folks began asking if she was benefiting from Black aesthetics while dodging the identity that came with them. Back home, South Africans were not having it. They clapped back, calling Americans ethnocentric for forcing their own definitions of race onto someone from a totally different system. But here's the brutal truth about the global stage. Perception is everything, and there are no cultural disclaimers scrolling at the bottom of your TikTok. Context gets lost, and silence is dangerous. Stay quiet too long and people will write their own version of your story, and not in your favor. By April 2024, Tyla had to speak up. She told Cosmopolitan that she was glad the controversy sparked real conversations about race and identity. Reminding everyone that Africa isn't just a simple black and white box, she doubled down saying, "I grew up as a South African knowing myself as colored. I'm also mixed race. I'm also Black, cool." But here's the problem. Fans weren't waiting for philosophy lessons. They wanted clarity. That answer didn't squash the noise. It only kept the storm circling around her name, louder than ever. What fans really wanted was clarity. See, there's this psychological concept called cognitive dissonance. Basically, when people can't make sense of something, it makes them uncomfortable. And that's exactly what happened here. Tyla's explanation didn't smooth things over. It just made the gap between her intentions and the audience's perception even wider. Suddenly, her identity started looking less like authenticity and more like a puzzle nobody asked to piece together. Tyla claimed she wanted to start a conversation, but to a lot of people, it felt like she was dodging accountability with wordplay. And then came the moment that turned her controversy into pure internet wildfire. The infamous June 2024 Breakfast Club interview. Charlemagne the God tossed her the easiest alley-oop of her career, a straight-up softball. So, explain the whole colored person situation. And what did Tyla do? She froze, sat there, silent, mouth clamped shut, while the cameras rolled. That moment of dead air, it became the clip heard around the internet. Within hours, the video went viral, fueling the narrative that she was either ashamed, confused, or just didn't have the guts to stand on her truth. Eventually, Tyla tried to clean things up the only way she knew how, on X of all places. She typed out that she had never denied being Black and reminded everyone that race is regional, different depending on where you're standing in the world. But by then, the silence had already spoken louder than the post ever could. In her final attempt to clear the air, Tyla wrote that in South Africa, she identifies as Black, but she's also colored. She closed her statement with, "I'm both colored and a Black woman." She added that she never expected outsiders to label her with a term they weren't comfortable with. But instead of healing wounds, that statement felt like gasoline on the fire. Many fans saw it as Tyla doubling down, refusing to bend even when she knew the word didn't translate globally. For a lot of people, that was the breaking point, the moment they checked out on her completely. Fast forward to September 2024 at the MTV VMAs, the night should have been her crowning glory. Tyla had just won Best Afrobeat Song for Water, the track that made her an international star. It should have been pure celebration, the kind of moment artists dream of. But nope, Tyla somehow turned it into yet another headline-grabbing scandal. Instead of soaking in the spotlight, she sparked outrage by asking either Lil Nas X or Halle Bailey to hold her award for her. Yes, you read that right. She didn't even want to carry her own damn Moon Person trophy. The crowd wasn't clapping at that point, they were side-eyeing. Viewers flooded social media demanding to know, who does Tyla think she is, too good to hold her own award? What should have been a career milestone ended up fueling even more backlash, cementing the narrative that Tyla was slipping further away from the fans who once rooted for her. After the award show fiasco, Tyla jumped on X with a quick clap back, "Y'all make everything weird." But that only made things worse. Fans weren't letting it slide. They claimed she was acting like the Moon Person trophy was beneath her, both physically and metaphorically. To them, it wasn't about the weight of the statue, it was about her attitude. And the attitude looked off. Almost a year later, Tyla tried to defend herself in British Vogue. She explained that Lil Nas X is her friend, and she only asked for help because, honestly, the award was super heavy. But by then, the damage was done. People didn't want explanations. They wanted humility. And Tyla's words weren't convincing enough to reset the narrative. Then came another viral moment in September 2024. Tyla hit the stage with Usher, a co-sign that should have been monumental for her career. Dancing to Water alongside a living legend should have boosted her star power to the next level, but instead, disaster. When Usher leaned in close, Tyla pivoted away. The move was subtle, but the internet's eagle eyes caught it instantly. Social media exploded, calling her disrespectful and claiming she didn't understand the assignment. To them, that moment with Usher wasn't just choreography, it was a stamp of approval, and Tyla treated it like it was nothing. That's when whispers turned into louder conversations. Is Tyla an industry plant? That question started floating through timelines, group chats, and comment sections everywhere. And the fact that people even entertained it showed how shaky her public image had become. On paper, Tyla looks like the industry's dream project. Flawless visuals, a sound engineered for trends, heavyweight label support, and a brand so polished it almost feels like it was designed in a boardroom. To some, that screams success, but to others, it screams industry plant. And when you peel back the shiny layers, that theory starts looking less like a wild conspiracy and more like a very calculated blueprint. Take her come up, for example. She didn't grind her way through South Africa's underground scene, earning stripes at dingy clubs, hustling with mixtapes, or slowly building a die-hard fan base from raw performances. Nope. Tyla skipped all that. She was rolled out to the world like a fully packaged product, slick production, flawless lighting, and worldwide distribution before most people even knew her name. Then came Water. It didn't climb, it erupted. Practically overnight, the song dominated thanks to a viral TikTok dance and aggressive playlist placements. Sure, it checked every box of a hit record, but it lacked that scrappy, organic story fans usually love to connect with. There were no grassroots moments, no shaky live recordings, no viral basement performance that made people feel like they discovered her first. Instead, it was just a boom, instant global smash. For critics, that wasn't the mark of a natural rise. It was the mark of something engineered, polished, and pushed straight out of the industry machine. She came off as just that, a gorgeous girl with a viral hit who suddenly had the full weight of the label machine behind her. But here's the reality check. When her debut album finally dropped, it only moved 24,000 copies in its first week. For an artist hyped up as the next global sensation, those numbers were shocking. And yet, the powers that be still decided it was smart to send Tyla out on a full-blown tour. That move backfired fast. Just 2 weeks before the first show, the European leg got postponed and the entire North American run was flat out canceled. The official reason? An injury Tyla was dealing with, but fans weren't buying it. Instead of sympathy, the cancellations fueled more chatter about whether the machine had pushed her too fast, too soon, without the organic foundation to back it up. Then there's the rollout itself. Visually impeccable. Her styling, her music videos, the glossy partnerships, all top tier, but maybe too top tier. Everything looked more fitting for a seasoned pop queen on her third or fourth album cycle. Not a newcomer who still had something to prove. Every move screamed strategy, not spontaneity. And notice the wording. She's constantly labeled a global sensation, the kind of title usually reserved for superstars like Beyonce. For Tyla, it feels forced, like the narrative is being shoved down people's throats instead of earned. Now let's be real, and being called an industry plant doesn't mean she's untalented. She clearly has charisma and skill. But until she shows us substance beyond the branding, that industry plant label is going to stick to her name like glue. By July 2025, Tyla was tangled up in even more drama, this time inside the courtroom. 2 producers came forward and slapped her with a lawsuit over royalties and credits for Water, the very track that put her on the map. They alleged they were cut out of what they were rightfully owed, claiming not only financial losses but damage to their entire professional reputations. Suddenly, the song that made her career was threatening to unravel it. As of right now, that case is still pending, but the timing couldn't be worse. In 2025, Tyla dropped 4 songs and only one, her collab Dynamite with Wizkid, even managed to touch the US charts. And that fact speaks volumes. The American audience seems to be over the Tyla hype train. They're not buying into the label's narrative anymore because at the end of the day, fans can smell manufactured hype from miles away. The novelty has worn thin, and what's left is an artist struggling to carve out an identity beyond viral dances and glossy aesthetics. International fans might still be cheering her on, but in the US, that crowd is ruthless. They don't have patience for surface-level artistry, especially in an industry already stacked with heavyweights who bring more depth, more originality, and way stronger staying power. Right now, Tyla stands at a crossroads. Either she reinvents herself and proves she's more than the machine behind her, or she risks fading into just another cautionary tale of hype that couldn't hold weight. At the end of the day, listeners crave growth. They want grit. They want a story they can latch on to, something real to invest their emotions in. And when the music stays stuck in the same lane, the fan base doesn't evolve either. That's the wall Tyla is running into right now. But her team can keep stacking flashy collabs, rolling out immaculate visuals, and pumping TikTok-ready trends into the feed. But if there's no heart, no depth, no actual soul behind the strategy, it's only a matter of time before the whole machine falls flat. Audiences have proven time and again that hype without substance is just noise. And once they tune out, it's nearly impossible to win them back. So where does Tyla go from here? Does she push past the manufactured sheen and give people the raw truth they've been waiting for? Or does she stay locked in the cycle of surface-level marketing? Right now, fans are watching closely, waiting to see if she delivers the growth they've been begging for, or if she'll fade as just another pop experiment gone cold.